About 20 years ago, I was studying in a yeshiva in Jerusalem. I spent some of my most joyful hours there. One of my roommates was from Ukraine, and he taught me some Russian. Not much, but you know the things you will not say from the bima. But the news I'm going to share with you now, I didn't read them in Russian, but in English. Not a guarantee I understood them, but here we go. It was reported that a robot hailed as the most advanced created in Russia was just a man in a suit. The android known as Boris took the stage at a Russian technology conference to delight the world with its entirely lifelike moving and dancing. It was so impressive that it appears on Russian state television, celebrated as the most modern robot, and produced by a team of students. Video of the event went around the world, showing him taking part in a banter with people on stage and being led through a series of dances. Its success was used to encourage children to explore robotics and as a proof of a technological breakthrough. It was clear that if the robot was real, it would be one of the most advanced examples of robotics in the world. Soon after the celebration, however, it became clear that it was so lifelike because it was literally alive, with a man standing inside its body controlling its functions. Local reports straight away noted a variety of things wrong with the robot. It wasn't clear where the sensor that would allow it to take in the world were placed. For one, it only seemed to have LED lights in its head rather than any visible camera or other sensors to allow it to understand its environment. It also appeared to have come entirely out of nowhere. The robots made by Boston Dynamics, the most advanced ones probably, have taken years to develop even simple abilities, and their movements are far behind some of those shown during the demonstration. Its dancing seemed too human, too. Its movements were clumsy, like a person trying to dance while struggling with the weight of a robot suit, not a robot that had been taught to dance, as claimed. And perhaps most tellingly of all, the robot suit looked perfectly made to allow a man to fit inside of it. Other real robots tend to have very slim limbs, but Boris's limbs seem to be well proportioned to allow a person's arms and legs to fit inside. If it wasn't enough, pictures soon emerged of the robot from slightly different angles, and there clearly visible was the neck of whoever had been put inside. So the organizers of the Troika Technology Forum, held each year for the future intellectual leaders of Russia, did not try to pass off the robot as real, was reported by the media. But whether by mistake or design, the state television footage did just that. It's entirely possible one of these students could dedicate him or herself to robotics, an article reported. Especially as the forum, they have the opportunity to look at the most modern robots. That was official Russian television. Well, what can I tell you? Made in Russia, but it fits perfect with the Parsha. Fits, pun intended. That word, okay? Fits, pun intended, okay? Okay. Fits perfect with Joseph's story. To be honest, I have always questioned why Joseph is not the fourth patriarch. I always question why Bereshit, the book of Genesis, dedicates chapters and chapters to Joseph's story more than Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. I always question why we never find a verse that says, Vaidaber Hashem el Yosef le'emor. God never speaks to Joseph. So many dialogues that God has with so many people, even with a donkey in the Torah, and never talks to the second in line of Pharaoh, something is not completely right here. So today I wanted to share with you what I think it is not completely right in this story. Joseph is in Egypt under the name of Tzafnat Paneach. Pharaoh gives Joseph a new name. And it's a very strange name. It is so strange that our sages struggle with it. It is Rabbeinu Bechaye, one of the most important but not very traditional commentators, who provides some clarification and connect Joseph's name with the word lefa'aneach, to decipher. Joseph deciphers the dream. Tzafnat pa'aneach, the deciphers of dreams. But Joseph himself is still a question mark, a hieroglyph. Hieroglyph. Okay, thank you. Under Tzafnat Paneach, there is a Joseph who needs to be deciphered. Under the robot, there is a person. And when the person is discovered, we find out he didn't do a real teshuvah. So let me share with you some verses of chapter 45. Then Joseph could no longer himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence," he says. So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptian heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, "Ani Yosef, I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph says to them, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one who you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed," and so on, and so on, and so on. So says, "Now," Joseph says, "hurry back to my father and say to him, 'This is what your son Joseph says. God has made me the Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You can see for yourself, so can my brother Benjamin, that it's really I who am speaking to you. Tell my father about all the honor I accorded me in Egypt and about everything you have seen. And bring my father down here quickly." Under the robot, there was a person. Under Tzafnat Paneach, there was the same Joseph. Me, and me. My father, not our father. It's my father. It's all about me. You sold me to Egypt. Not a single reflection of teshuvah. The same Joseph under the tunic is the same Joseph under Tzafnat Paneach. Nothing had changed for him. And maybe that is why God doesn't talk to him, and maybe that is the reason he's not the fourth patriarch. So today, when you go back home, think of who is under the dress or under the suit. Who are you when you are not a doctor, a lawyer, a rabbi, a salesman? Who are you when you take out your suit and you are no longer a robot? Because sometimes we all operate like robots, don't we? Who are you inside? Who is the person inside the robot? If you're not the same you were last week or last month, I hope you're a better person now. If you're not the same you were last week or last month, you have not changed, you've wasted a week or a month. And if you feel you are not the same and not better either, don't be like Joseph and start the process of teshuvah. The question we all have to answer is, who is the person inside the robot? Shabbat Shalom.